Hi, everyone. Alexi with another episode of the Marketing Evolution podcast. Today, I have got Adam from Barbaro Photography and Videography here with me. Hey, Adam. How you going, mate?
Hey, Lexi, thanks for having me.
A pleasure to have you, mate. Yeah, look, it's obviously quite a relaxed Friday afternoon, and I'm looking forward to a lot of useful content for our clients. As always, the idea behind our podcast is business evolution and marketing evolution, and we always go through businesses and ask the business owners about how their business is structured, who they work with, and so on and so forth. So let's hear about your business, Adam. Tell us what it is that you actually do, mate, because photography and videography quite a vast
A
area,
broad
and
brush,
yeah, it can
definitely.
really cover quite a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. And 100%. And often it does, depending on the client. I think the majority of the time, the way I describe my business is we go out of our way to help businesses simplify their marketing message in a format that is consumable in order to help these businesses promote themselves and market themselves in a way which they can get a good return of investment. So I guess that's probably the elevator pitch of how I would describe what we do. Breaking that down in real terms, it's really like we work with agencies, internal marketing teams, people like yourself, or just the business owners, depending on the size of the business, in order to provide them with content which they can reach out in an effective way and talk to their audience.
Okay, so to simplify that, you basically help people come up with the idea for the video, shoot the video, produce the video, and basically give them the end result. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, exactly. And depending on the size of the business, we also sometimes go into the work of, okay, what's the strategy here? Making sure that it's not just let's produce a video and put it out there and see what happens. It's let's have some thinking behind what you're actually trying to do here. And then, there's obviously different pieces of content which are more effective at doing that.
Okay. So, and with those particular videos, I'm sure the reasons why people are getting them are very, very different. I mean, I'm sure there's advertising and a heap of other things as well. What other problems are you potentially solving for your clients, the businesses that you work with?
I think it comes down, again, it depends on the size, but, we try and, I mean, obviously we're solving the problem that they want to get their message out there. But the problem that we're solving for them is doing that in a way that's in a professional format that presents it with the best foot forward, which is what everyone always wants to do. It's why they pay money for good websites and why they do marketing campaigns and everything. Why they spend money on branding and all those other aspects of the business. But that's just one aspect of how we do it. We solve their problem of presenting themselves in a professional way.
Okay. I guess, I come across a lot of businesses that don't just do ads, but they also run things like training videos. They run interviews in a certain way. They do testimonials. I'm sure there's a whole heap of other things that businesses are inquiring about, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, e-learning's massive. It's always been a part of our business, but it's something that grows. But also aspects of it, as you said, in terms of like interviews and onboarding. I mean, a lot of businesses want, even bringing on new clients, they want a video system they can almost automate to help clients go through, whether it's new systems they're going to bring them on to use. Accountants do that quite often, where they have a system, and within the system they can actually have these videos there which showcase to clients how it actually works and how they use it. So we often come in to do that and make sure that the videos are of high quality, easily gets the message across, but also creates that connections. It doesn't take away from the personal interaction, so to speak. So that's another aspect of definitely what we do. I mean, in terms of solving and automating a lot of parts of their business, I think video and photo to an extent can do a lot of that.
Okay, cool. Well, I've certainly seen a lot of different videos used in very different ways. And in my opinion, I think especially with the YouTube advertising, the TrueView videos, the one that pop up that you can cancel after 5 seconds, have been really quite successful for branding campaigns, which is where the brand is obviously shown at the very beginning. Is that one of the things that people are potentially requesting from you as someone who specializes in videography?
Yeah, of course. I think it depends on the business and the different method and what they're looking to do. But I think a lot of the time those little short promo pieces, particularly with social media in general, but now with how how effective you can target on things like YouTube ads, I think that's a great way of just being able to break that down. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and the conversation was, this is a great way to be able to target people, and we can do a couple of different versions here, so we're able to see which one is more effective to actually hitting your target market.
Cool.
So things like that. Yeah, 100%. So, being able to do that with video is often not too difficult from what you would think. It means changing, maybe the call to action around, maybe who's actually communicating and things like that. So you can make these small changes to video to actually make them more effective in the way the audience interacts.
Yeah, great, excellent. Well, I think a lot of people can certainly benefit from your services, because I've seen a lot of videos where people will put something out there, the sound is terrible, the whole thing is too dark, or the lighting is terrible, and I think there's just at least some simple tips that could be provided to help those people out. So yeah, 100%. I think there's a big need for businesses like yours, mate. So excellent. All right, and in terms of the business evolution, I mean, this has been one of those really unexpected years where you just don't know what's coming up. What are you finding happening this year in your space? I mean, are you finding that things are as usual, or has your business changed quite a lot based on the fact that people are working remotely and potentially things are slowing down for a lot of businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both. I think that the situation has definitely changed in terms of organizations have become more aware of, the need. And I think in these days, it's more of a requirement to have a digital, presence. So as part of that, they obviously start thinking about things like, doing, things like AdWords and YouTube ads, and having videos on their website, and all those little things that help with SEO. So all those other aspects, I think businesses have become more aware over the last couple of months that, hey, we actually need to do this. It's not something we can just sit around and wait for, because when things like this happen, we've got nothing otherwise. So we need to sort of look into doing these other realms. I mean, you saw that a lot during lockdown, when a lot of businesses were like, oh, how do we move online? And it's sort of one of those things where it's like, well, to have an efficient online system, you're probably a bit too late for that. But, at least it got people thinking. And I think that's probably the biggest change in how businesses just started operating, is that now they're like, okay, it's not just something that we should probably get around to. It's like, okay, we need something there to make sure that we can continue to operate even in those different conditions, and going forward it's just going to be helpful. In terms of the difference in like actual clients, I don't think there's a massive difference in what they're looking to do. I think the principles of being able to get personal stories out there, show the sort of brand for what it is, offer those solutions to the pain and problems that customers are having, offer some sort of authority and value, give some case studies, and at the end of the day, get them use some bit of persuasion tactics to making sure they're actually acting on things. I think those principles are the same. So I think in many ways, although I think in many ways the businesses are just continuing to do that, and that's just a new way of giving us some leverage to say, hey, this will be effective, and they go, you're right, that would be effective.
Great. I think case studies is definitely one of the biggest ones, especially if businesses provide services that aren't really as straightforward to most of the public. I understand that obviously people want to run specific campaigns and bring specific target market, but oftentimes anyone can really come to a website and see what the business is all about, but may not make much sense. But if they look at the video, they're able to interpret that much better. And I think while not everyone's the client, it's obviously very important to educate people about the brand and potentially the direction of the business, because you never know who's going to be your next referral partner. Who knows who? The power of networking is just huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of you never know who you're going to talk to. I think that's part of the brand. Being able to tell a bit of a personal story with your brand often creates that connection between you and them. Selling of where you want to be in 3 years. That's a really great way of just being able to say, your audience going, hey, I also want to be there in 3 years, and you create that rapport really quickly. And I think the more you can make it emotional, like I'm not sure if you talk about the green brain, red brain philosophy, which is the whole idea that you move things away from a lot of logical thinking into things that are a bit more emotional, because the emotional side of how people act is a lot more impulsive. So they're less likely to stop and think about things, but are more likely to have a visceral reaction to it and go make an emotional reaction to it and say, I want that. We can see that happening right now with the yearly Black Friday sales. The bit of a scarcity tactic, and all of a sudden people spend money they wouldn't usually buy because they're having an emotional reaction to some marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think anyone who's selling a product or potentially has got a service that requires further explanation, videos are perfect for, because if you look at the number of videos on YouTube that are showcasing particular products and doing reviews and stuff, it's through the roof. And I think it's really an untapped field in terms of SEO if people are looking to get exposure. So I can think of a dozen ways videos can be used. And for us, the biggest challenge is obviously getting the content. Hence why we love working with agencies like yours.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that people sort of have to almost see. Like, not always is the video going to be there for the sole purpose of, you know, generating money. It's sometimes it's very high up in the sales funnel, and it's literally there for awareness. You know, doing like product videos and stuff is a great way of just connecting with an audience authentically, but telling them at the same time more about your business and then how it can solve problems. So doing that with a lot of different products, particularly, you know, those that have lots of products and services, you know, yeah, great way for SEO, great way of building an audience, great way of generating awareness of who you actually are. Yeah, there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in terms of, you know, video production and stuff like that, if someone wants to, let's say, engage you in services and do let's say, shoot for a YouTube ad or potentially case studies or something like that, I mean, what are we talking? Is it days? Is it weeks? I mean, what's the, you know, filming and turnaround times? Can you give us some timeframes?
Yeah, and the turnaround time is often for something like case studies is often quite quick. It's usually a day or two of shooting. You know, not full days. It's often a couple hours, maybe in one location, a couple hours in another location. So sometimes that's done over 2 different days, depending on people's times tables. But it's often quite quick, and usually turnaround for something like that can be done within a week or two. So but the way I always put it as well is to make sure that, yeah, we have these ideas of things that we want to do, but I always talk to businesses and make sure they've got some sort of plan of getting it out there and, you know, promoting it. You know, YouTube ads, for example, is a great way of actually promoting those videos. I think a lot of the time, some businesses, they're having a conversation like, we need to do marketing. You know, video is obviously hot and a lot of people watch videos. Let's do a video. My first reaction to them is, great, we can do this, this, and this is how we'll lay it out. And we know that's going to be, you know, great at showing your brand or product or service. But before we do that, let's first talk to, you know, someone like your Easy Web Solutions and see how are you going to actually just distribute that and to who, to make sure it's actually an effective piece of marketing and not just money you've spent on something. You know, that's not to say that if you haven't got a marketing plan, it's not an effective tool, because having things like that, having it on your website and, you know, will help with SEO and things like that. And so it is going to be out there. It is pieces of content that still people are going to see. But I think if there's no strategy behind it, then you're sort of missing out on the majority of the.
Absolutely. Well, for us, you know, a video is really a part of a tactic, and the tactic could be, you know, we're potentially doing brand recognition or we're doing remarketing or something, and that could be a part of a bigger strategy as well. So if the strategy is, let's say, to educate clients and then convert them over a period of time and then do remarketing to potentially chase them up for you know, things like abandoned shopping carts, for example, we can certainly execute that. And not just with video, with a whole bunch of other things as well. But yeah, for us, making sure that we're on the same page is key. Oftentimes the customers do come with us with their own ideas and say, look, we've got a bit of a storyline or a case study. And then potentially, if we're able to tie that into a bit of a strategy, then we can work with it as well. But mate, yeah, absolutely. It comes down to the content and I think the quality of the content as well. I think for a lot of people, given the fact that, you know, YouTube is so powerful, people spend on average about 24 hours per month these days, according to the standard, the average figures coming from Google directly. People sort of know what's good and what's not good anymore. While majority of people prefers to have, you know, semi-professional stuff. They don't mind when people are being real and there's not a lot of editing. At the same time, they can really quickly tell if something isn't to the standard that they would be expecting as well.
Yeah, and I think in general, the standard in terms of the expectations for quality is going up. I think particularly because of how much, you know, people make money on YouTube and things like that, and you have all these creators, the content standard is no longer just, hey, let's just, you know, necessarily pull out my phone and have a very average looking shot. I think you find a lot of these people who are doing content have, you know, some sort of, whether they get someone in to help them set up professional lighting and things like that, just in order to make it look a bit better, because it does represent your brand in many ways. Yeah, so I think that definitely the standard has changed a lot on those platforms. And yeah, it's crazy with the amount of hours that people are watching YouTube. I mean, just like they consume any social media, but yeah, particularly YouTube, you know, that's video content, and often you're getting 1 to 2 ads at the start of each video. So that's a lot of people seeing targeted ads right towards, you know, who the brands want to target.
Yeah.
And I found it, actually saw that data and those stats and actually looked through the age groups. And I was surprised to find that a lot of those people watching, like, that doesn't exclude the 50-year-olds, you know, 50, I think the 50 to 60 is one of the age brackets there. And even they pop up in that as watching, you know, 15 hours plus a week. Yeah,
That's awesome.
which I found surprising.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool for us with YouTube is that YouTube runs specific audiences that we can use for targeting people and potentially, having certain sequences of other triggers that could be pushed banners, for example, shown or other videos to be served to them. And we're talking about things like people looking to retire or people looking to get a dog and so on and so forth. And knowing that information can really tie that into a lot of different things. So, for example, we had one of the episodes with Daniel from SecureLux, and we had an idea about doing some pet doors as a campaign. Now, YouTube specifically is great for that because you can target pet owners that just got a pet. So there's a great chance you can serve them with an ad and say, hey, look, we're SecureLux. We're doing pet inserts or pet doors specifically for your window. And that could actually be used as a entry point into a sale for security screens. So it's a lot more complicated. It isn't just about the marketing. It's also understanding how the sale is being executed and the whole delivery of the product as well. But absolutely, mate. I think video is key, and I think it's certainly there to stay, and it's obviously expanding into other avenues like TikTok. And yeah, I wanted to get some feedback from you. What's your take on that, mate? I mean, I personally don't use TikTok. I just don't have the time. And when I had a look at the stats, I just found that the demographic is a bit young. I mean, what's your take on TikTok? Is that something that you would potentially get engaged in, or something that you'd spend time on?
It's not something that I would personally use, just because you talk about its origins and things like that, and I'm not big on where it's come from. But I think in terms of, if you're thinking about business marketing, you take the personal aspect out of it and you go, hey, business marketing. You hear people like Gary Vee talk about now, and they're like, this is a new platform which has a huge audience already. And if you're thinking about how can I want to build a bigger audience, you're looking at your Instagram or whatever right now, and you're saying, oh, we've only got 300 followers. We hop on YouTube and we've only got 1,000 subscribers and I want 50,000. I think because TikTok and platforms like that are new, this is where you have the most leverage and the ability to actually get on, create good content regularly and get that big audience. I think, people were talking about that with LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and you've already seen that now. LinkedIn's quite, flooded now in many ways. And the same sort of thing. It's an under-leveraged and new platform. So there's a lot of ability to come in and make a big impact and get a big following from it. But yeah, definitely, I think TikTok is a massive young, massively targeted towards young people. Saying that though, I've seen articles recently with a number of people talking to CEOs of some other big companies, and just because I think just because that they're not in your target market, now, they may be in your target market in 5 years. And if those people have seen a lot of you and you have that awareness already built up with who you are and what you do, as those 25-year-olds are becoming 30 and looking for security screens for their first home, if you're already someone that they're super aware of, that helps you. So I think you don't not only have to look at marketing as, how can I get a return on investment in the next 6 months? And, I want that booming over the next couple of months. Yeah. You have to start thinking, well, how can I make a big, impact here that in 5-10 years time, I'm also still getting the rewards from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the whole thing about TikTok is it's a growing audience, and it's a audience that's eventually going to become more mature. I mean, you already see that across Instagram and Facebook. Some people use one channel but not another. My, I guess, biggest concern when it comes to TikTok is that it's more focused around fun, people dancing and people singing, as opposed to the actual content that people are delivering, which is where I think, your LinkedIn and your YouTube is a little bit more specific, where people actually listen to what people are saying, and that message could actually drive, the audiences, as opposed to just the fun or just the entertainment side of things. That's the way.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That is true. I mean, it is less information heavy, but I don't think that's always a bad thing. Creating authentic connections is usually the first step of any good, sales structure. So
great, yeah. Excellent. Well, I guess, 15 years ago, YouTube was something that people thought, well, what the hell is that? I mean, what are we going to do with all this? And now you look at all the stats, it's just through the roof. I mean, a lot of people listen to all the music on YouTube. They don't realize that, there's a lot of ads that are popping up that are somewhere at the back of your mind, helping with the branding side of things. And there's just a lot of things that are happening down the track.
Yeah, I think that's a prime example. I think when we talk about TikTok and then we talk about YouTube, we say, 5-10 years ago, the guys that went, hey, I'm going to try and make a thing about this on YouTube, or I'm going to start leveraging this platform to get out of it. They're getting, tenfold the return now because they have these massive audiences, because they wanted the, they're one of the first people to hop on board and really, use that platform. So I don't think you can sort of be scared of it, particularly if it's content that you've already created for other platforms. If you're creating some content that you're going to use on other platforms, there's no reason why you can't use it on different platforms. So, I think that's one of the benefits of things like video, is that it can be used across so many different platforms. And you shouldn't be scared of saying, oh, I haven't got, an audience there or whatever. You're not going to lose out from sharing things on those platforms.
Cool. Well, I guess, there are some businesses that are a little bit more visual than other business. I guess if you work with personal trainers, you've got something to film and it's very visual. People want to see the results. On the other hand, you've got accountants and lawyers and stuff that are maybe not so visual. I mean, any words of advice or any tips in terms of how they could potentially utilize the power of the video to market their business?
Yeah, definitely. I think, when you talk about someone like accountants, there's accountants everywhere. There's a huge amount of accountants, in every city. And while everyone needs basically an accountant, I think the competition is still quite high. And if you want to sort of separate yourself to get who you want, I think there's two uses of video there, which is one, you can be very specific with who you want to target. If you, as an accountant, you want to sort of, maybe not niche necessarily, but you want to target specific industries or whatever. Hey, this is a great way to sort of showcase yourself as that expert or authority figure, and show some social proofing via testimonials with those type of clients around working with them and the success you've had. So I think that's the first and probably the most often used way by accountants. I think the second way is that, as I talked about before, people make decisions off they make emotional decisions. It happens all the time. It's happening today. It happens every day. They get persuaded into making a decision, and that's emotionally based. So I think if you can create some videos about the story, about who you are and what you do and why you're different from other accounting firms, and sort of connect with people authentically, that emotional connection is more likely to make them make a decision towards going with you than just giving stats about why you're good. That's boring. It doesn't really make a connection with people. But I think if you can sort of tap into getting some sort of visceral reaction, you're more likely to get people to act with you quicker.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So if anybody wanted to, let's say, engage you or get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that? I mean, website, social media, how can they find you?
Yeah, of course. If they go to adambarbaro.com, there's easy contact methods listed there, as well. If they hop on something like Instagram, Adam E. Barbaro, the same sort of thing there.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll make sure we'll feature the link to your website in the description of the video as well, mate. With the video, it's a huge topic. I guess we can talk about forever. If anyone's trying to do their own stuff, I mean, are there any particular tips that you would provide, or any advice for any of those that are potentially on a bit of a budget and maybe wanting to do things themselves? And I guess a lot of people may not realize what the costs are, but any particular tips for them?
Definitely. I've actually created a PDF, which you hop on the website, will pop up straight away. They can download, and it's 5 different steps for around lighting, location, sound, audio, of things to make your videos more professional in a very cost-effective and easy way. If people download that and have more questions, I'm happy to have a chat to them about other ways they can, whether they looking to invest in a camera or some lighting or something on the cheap end, things to get which can really help them in making their videos at home look more professional. And that's something that I actually encourage people to do anyway. You don't always have to approach someone like myself to do a regular video. If you're wanting to produce content regularly, which I believe basically every business out there should, then the most cost effective and most logical solution for you is probably to do it yourself. So they'll have some tips up there on the website to help people with that.
Absolutely. Great. Well, that's excellent, mate. And in terms of clients, an ideal client for you, who are you looking for? What would define an ideal client right this moment and at the end of 2020?
End of 2020, I would say those who are looking to put a plan together and work with someone like yourself leading into 2021. Not those who just want to do a last minute video and have something like that. People that are thinking, okay, how can I grow this business and where do I want to be in 24 months? I want to engage 3 more staff that can do these jobs. I want to be able to do this. And we want to have, increase revenue by 20%. They're the people that I like working with, because they're the people that sort of we can work on a long-term basis, put a relationship together and make sure that we can, see the growth using different tactics throughout the process.
Great. Well, I guess from me, all I can say is all those retailers that haven't taken advantage of Black Friday, which is today, or Cyber Monday, which is on Monday, make sure you don't miss out on Christmas sales. Christmas and Boxing Days are pretty big sale opportunities. And I think if you put together a video showcasing either your premises or your products, or talk about what it is that you're actually offering at that specific time of the year, or any offers that you're pushing for, Adam's right there. He should be able to point you in the right direction, or at least give you some tips to make your videos better. Adam, thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate you jumping on a call on a Friday afternoon. You could have been having a beer. It's beer o'clock here in Queensland at 2:30, in case you've forgotten. But mate, yeah, really appreciate all the input. And look, if anyone's got any content, anything to add or anything to ask, please make sure you use the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And yeah, I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Lexi.